Yo guys, what's up? It's Deprimido. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you this review of Octave VST. It's made by my best friend Jacob. He's produced for Travis Scott and Russ, most notably. So the first sound that it loads up to is this bell sound. And I've been using the VST for I think close to 3 months now, and I've used this sound in 2 beats, at least 2, maybe more. But so that's a pretty, I mean, I like that sound. Some of the other bell sounds are alright, but I think this is the best one. This is what it loads up to. So getting into the interface right here, you've got a low pass and a high pass filter. You can switch between them. You've got a vinyl filter, which I really actually like this vinyl a whole lot. It's a nice sounding vinyl. It's pretty clean. You can turn it down or up, and it's pretty nice. You've got an LFO rate and depth knob, and this isn't the best LFO. I mean, it works, but don't expect too much from either of these. The reverb is pretty good. It's nothing incredible. It's pretty good. I mean, that's about all I can say about it, really. And same with the glide. The release, I usually just turn all the way up for the most part. I don't know why you would really want to not have it all the way up, unless it was like some sort of weird beat, which this VST is kind of geared towards. I think a lot of the sounds in it are really weird. They're not like typical sounds. So I'm just going to get into some of the sounds. So I'm going to play you a couple other bells. So I mean, that's a really weird sound you can hear, and there's just a lot of really weird sounds. Another thing about the VST, it takes a little bit to load each sound. It's not too bad, but it does take a little while. So that's kind of annoying, but it's no big deal. Another one thing that I don't like is sometimes when you get a little bit lower on certain sounds, it starts adding undertones that are really high. And I've tried using the low pass filter, the high pass filter, whatever, and it just does not cut those. So you have to cut those with either a fruity EQ or whatever. But you have to do an outside EQ. This doesn't work to cut those, which you can kind of hear down here. You can hear there's like right around here, it starts to add a note that's really high up that doesn't sound super nice. But when you get higher, that goes away, which is good. So yeah, those are a couple of the bells. They're pretty decent. They're nothing great. Some of the flutes, I don't really like the flutes. I mean, they're not really flutes. Like, they're really synthy and kind of weird. There's one decent flute in here. I can't remember what it's called, but it sounds like an actual flute, but for the most part, they're all just kind of weird synths. And they're really nothing incredible, so I don't really like the flutes that much. There's 2 guitars in here. This one's pretty decent. The other one is okay. I've used it in 1 beat, and it was a kind of a weird beat, so it worked well, but for the most part, I don't like the other guitar so much. This one's pretty good, though. It's not a super guitar-y sound, but it's kind of like a synth guitar, I guess. So it's alright for certain circumstances. Getting into the keys here, we've got a lot of keys. There's probably the most presets for keys than any other instrument in here. And they're all, again, really weird sounds. So it's kind of, I guess, this VST is mostly for just weird sounds like that. There's some nice ones like that, but there's nothing really incredible. Next, getting into the leads up here. We've got some decent leads, and really a lot of the other instruments in this work kind of like leads. They don't sound like the instrument that they're labeled as. They sound just more like some random lead. So there's some decent leads in here, but there's really nothing incredible in terms of leads. I don't love them. So then again, that's kind of more of a flute, but it's like a synthy flute. It's nothing great. Getting into the pads, there are some decent pads, and there's also some really garbage pads. Right, it's all just really funky sounds, and typically I don't really like that, but for certain circumstances it could be good. But there are some decent pads in here. There's also some really garbage pads, and that's kind of how it is with everything in this. But next, there's two things that really stand out in this VST, and those are number one, the licks. So let's get into these. The way that it works is kind of weird. So on the piano, you've got the main melody on C5. But then as you go up, it's a similar melody, but it sort of changes each time. Right, so similar, but a little bit different. And then eventually you just get into an entirely separate melody, which is really weird to me. I don't see why he didn't just make it a separate lick, but he didn't. And then it comes back to the first melody. So it's kind of weird how it works, but the licks are actually really good in this kit, in this VST. It's got some great melodies. And I keep saying melody instead of lick. It's weird how it works, but it's kind of like a melody, but it's just a little bit stripped back, I guess. So there are 3 lick presets, and each one of them has like 10 or so different things. So as I said, it's pretty similar throughout, but then it does have big changes and also some smaller changes. But yeah, so those are the 3 different licks. So that's that. And the other thing that stands out to me are the basses. This has some really great synth basses. It's also, again, has some bad ones, but it's got 10 different synth basses, and I'd say like 8 of those are pretty good. So this one's kind of weird, but it does have some pretty good ones. I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure that this one is one of my favorites. Yeah. Yeah, so I like that one. And there's some other ones that I like. I'm just going to go through a couple of these here. But it does have some great synth basses. So that is the biggest parts of the VST. There's some good sounds that I didn't cover, but these are just a couple of different random sounds from each different label. So you've got bells, keys, flutes, guitars, leads, synths, pads, pianos, plucks, basses, and I believe that's it in here. And also flutes. I think I already said that, but I'm not sure. Next, it does come with a drum kit, and this drum kit is a very good drum kit. So starting off, let's go over the 808s. So one of my favorite 808s of all time really is from this kit. It's the 808 Genius level. It's almost more of a sub bass. This is what it sounds like. Right, it's really long. And then it's also got great short 808s, just kind of classics. Right, so in the actual VST, it's got a lot of really weird sounds. In the drum kit, it does have some weirder sounds, but it's also got some really great, just classic sounds. I think for every single different instrument that it has, it's got at least 1 or 2 really good, just classics. So those are the 808s. Next, getting into the claps, we've got some classics like that one. Those are all kind of classics, and then it's got some weirder sounds like this. Stuff like that. It doesn't have any cymbals or drums, but then getting into the hi-hats, it has, again, just some classic hi-hats. Pretty much all of the hi-hats are just really good kind of classics, except for maybe this one. But I have used this in a beat, and it turned out good. But yeah, it's got some great classic hi-hats, same with kicks. All of the kicks are pretty hard, they really just knock, and I like all the kicks quite a lot. Next, getting into the melodies, it does come with a loop melody kit right here. So it's got some great melodies, and it also comes with a full MIDI kit. It's got a bunch of MIDI chords right here, and it's also got melodies right here. So it's got a ton of different melodies between the loops and the MIDIs. Then getting into perks, we got this cowbell. It's got a lot of pretty good rims. So yeah, it's got a lot of really good rims. It doesn't have anything else really in terms of perks, but it does have a few sound effects. So right here, it's got that. Let me just find another one. It's got those. So just with the perks, kind of weird sounds, but pretty good. And then the snares, it also has some great classic snares. So this one is just a great, like, 2011, 2012 early, like Young Thug, early trap kind of snare. It's really nice for that. And then it's got some weirder ones like those, and then just some other solid kind of classic ones. So that's all of the sounds that it comes with, but it also, when you buy it, you get onto his mailing list, which is really good. I've gotten an entire free 808 drum kit last August. He and I think it was Busyworks Beats worked on a classic 808 drum kit together, which has some good sounds. And it's got he sends out a lot of tutorial videos. So he's done a video on how he scored Travis Scott's "Look Mom, I Can Fly." It was his documentary that he did sometime last year, and he scored that entire movie. So he did a video on how he did that. He's done videos on arrangements and just a whole lot of stuff. So that's a really great place to be. And so now let's talk about the price. So all of this comes just from the VST. You get the VST, the drum kit, and you get to be on the mailing list. And it's only $30, which I think is a really good price for what you get. I probably wouldn't pay a whole lot more than that. I'd probably pay up to 60 or 70 for this, but I definitely think that it's worth $30. So should you get it, it depends on where you're at. So if you've just sort of been working on free VSTs and stuff like that for a while, and you're ready to start getting into some that cost a little bit higher of an investment, I think this is a really great one to get. Again, it's only $30, so it's pretty cheap. So if this is one of the first actual VSTs that you're paying for, I think this is a really good one because you get the VST, you get to be on the mailing list, which is good, and you also get the drum kit, which is really great. So I think you should buy it. And again, I'd pay up to like $70 for it. It's only $30. But he says that it's like thousands of $2,000 worth of value or something like that. I personally don't think it's anywhere near that, but I'd probably pay $70 or $80 for it if it came to that. But it's only $30, so I think you should get it if you want and if you're ready for that. But I really appreciate you all watching the video. Let me know if you've used this VST, whether it was good, what you thought of it. And let me see if there's any other VSTs you want me to review. And yeah, I'll talk to you all in the next video.